Good morning, good morning, good morning. How is everyone doing today? How's everyone doing today? I am Dr. Jackie Evans Phillips, and I have a very special guest today. Um, it's TaNesha Barnes. But before we get started and get to know her, let's connect our social media. So we're going to take a few minutes to make sure everyone is connected. So let me get on our pages and I am going to share it. One second.
Are you able to tag me?
One second.
Okay.
I'm trying to do it from my my page now. Let's see what happens. Click on my story. I'm supposed to be on there. I just saw my stuff. Okay, here we go. Let's share. I'm still trying to figure this part out. Um, let's go back to this other page. I'm trying to do it for my business page, which is a bit different. So, how are you today? Share to a page. That's interesting. Okay. So we shared it to this page, and we're going to share it, and I'm going to tag you to the other page. Here we go. So how are you doing? We have our special guest, Miss TaNesha. Well, who am I? I am Dr. Jackie Evans Phillips. For those who are joining me for the first time, I have the show. I'm on a mission to really empower individuals to understand the power of this story, to understand the greatness there is within them, and to develop a message from this story. And this month, for the month of May, we are looking at women who are change makers, and I'm really excited to have a change maker with me today. And so, Ms. Barnes, can you tell us who you are? So, before I even go, let me give you a little description of who she is. So, she's a global lifestyle entrepreneur creating a lifestyle of beauty, products, fashion, and travel. Tell me
Exactly.
about the woman behind all of that.
Well, again, my name is T Barnes, and I am a global lifestyle entrepreneur. I have several business entities, but my main business entities are T Barnes Global Travel and T Barnes Beauty. One of them is a company that has organic skincare, cosmetics, bath and body, a fashion line, and we have been around for a very, very long time. The other one is a travel business where I take mostly. Black people of the diaspora all around the world, and more recently, really exploring the continent of Africa. So, yeah, that's what I do.
Beautiful. So, what's your why?
Freedom. Yeah, everything I do is
Hmm.
always about freedom. I think that I have been making very clear decisions for how I work, how I move, the kind of projects that I take on, um, all around personal freedom, freedom for community, I'm very politics driven. So a lot of my businesses, even down to the skincare, I wanted Black women to have access to organic products that were accessible and that were formulated to really deal with their skin. So everything is always wrapped up in this idea of freedom for me as an individual and freedom for my community. And so there's always a political lean to the businesses that I do.
So when did you discover your why, and when was that shift for you in moving?
I mean, I think that travel really shifted. I've always been a pretty like I was a serious kid, like I was president of the NAACP from the time I was 12 to the time I was 18. So I've always been pretty serious. So I always knew that there was something bigger driving me from a very, very young age. When I think about my why now, I always kind of was, I feel like I was always a good entrepreneur. I always was kind of going after what I wanted to do. But when I had a child, she really shifted everything. And it was now about creating a legacy. It was now about making sure that I was living the life as a woman, as a Black woman, as just a human being in the world that I wanted my child to see. And she drives a lot of a lot of the choices and decisions that I make now. My first business is a legacy business in the sense that I hope it's something that will help to give her a sense of freedom, when she gets to the age to where she's not interested in working for other people and she can kind of take on a business that, can offer her a lot of opportunity to grow.
Nice, powerful, powerful, powerful. So the last 6 months, a lot has shifted in this world.
Whew.
What was your last 6 months like in terms of the pandemic, the Black Lives Matter? Um, it's just been a total shift. How were you riding that through that storm, and where are you right now in terms of? Well, I'm not even sure if we're out of it yet, but just talk
Nowhere
about
near.
the last 6 months.
For me, I mean, the last 6 months is really just for me the accumulation and the implementation of what I was already writing about, thinking about, talking about, really for the last decade of my life.
Amen.
Really talking about how deteriorated I thought American society was. We are in a pandemic, but this pandemic has honestly been exasperated within the United States because of how we live in community. And then with race relationships, this is cyclical. I'm a historian by education.
Mhm.
And so I always knew that this was the next wave coming after an Obama election. So it doesn't come really as a major surprise to me. And I think I've been preparing for this for a very long time. I've been living between the Caribbean and Africa for years now, maybe 7 years at this point. So when things started to shift, I was in Ghana in December when it broke out in China, and I'm in travel, and I was taking a group to Cape Verde in January. So I was watching what was happening. So by the time March came, I knew that I didn't want to be in the US. I actually thought that it was going to not be managed well here. And so when I made the decision to leave, to go, it was purposeful. And I took my daughter out of school, and shortly after they canceled school, so it was fine. But she would have left anyway, whether they had
Right.
canceled school or not. And I went to Morocco. I went to the Sahara. I went to a place where it has 7,000 people and really, really large land mass. And I knew that I wanted to sit this out outside of the US. And then, I mean, just magic happened. I had a project that I was working on in Morocco, um, redecorating and re-envisioning a palace. I'm
Powerful.
currently
I was following you.
It was great. I met Mohammed Spy on the plane in February. I had taken a group in February, right before everything broke out to Morocco. And we met on the plane, we hit it up, we just really liked each other. You kind of those
Connection.
meetings and you become great friends. And he flew in from Casablanca to have dinner with my group, and then he invited us to one of his riads. He owns several properties around the Sahara, and he loved what I did for my dinner party at his space. And he was like, I think I have a project in the Sahara to redecorate a palace and for you to think about what you might be able to do there. And I did. I took my daughter and I left and we went down to the Sahara, 50 miles away from Algeria. And there I was, and it's morphed into me becoming now general manager of Spy Palace and really shifting the business structure. Travel obviously is going to change.
Yeah.
But with the uprisings happening, I realized there was the open space for me to give an opportunity for other people of the diaspora that were ready to leave the West to come and settle on the continent. And there's, a big exodus right now of
Yeah,
that.
I love it. I love it. I
Yeah.
love it. I love it. So the next 6 months now, let's talk about the next 6 months and beyond. So you've sort of hinted in terms of, tell us a little bit about your business, your products, your different, where do you see in terms of this new shift now for you?
hmm Yeah, I mean, the great part about T Barnes Beauty is that you can make in the beauty industry, you could have a famine and women are still going to try to be beautiful. So that that
Yes.
business kind of stays straight through every scenario and every situation. So I'm great with T Barnes Beauty. I've had some really good, wonderful partners come to the table. So I'm excited about the next phase. And of T Barnes Beauty and creating products and continue to create my fashion line. From the travel perspective, really picking back up with travel in 2021 with my groups. We
Mhm.
have, I do Bali, I do Morocco, we do
Yeah.
Ghana, we do so, hopefully the world will get back to normal as soon as possible and we're able to start exploring it again. But in the meantime, I'm preparing to create a creative community slash commune. It's really a commune, but people are
Yes.
very uncomfortable with that whole idea because they think I'm trying to be Jim Jones. I don't want to kill you. I want you to live. I want you to live more fully. I want you to live more, peacefully. And so I'm excited about Spy Palace. Spy Palace it really just means a shift from living in a space in the US that doesn't really serve my spirit like it did. I don't know if it ever did, but doesn't serve my spirit. I feel better on the continent of Africa. I feel lighter there. I feel more productive there, and I'll be living there and really back and forth. I encourage people to be global, to not feel like you don't have to throw away your American citizenship, but I think we should start seeking places as human beings where we feel good, and I
Mm,
feel good there, and I'm excited to be able to give this opportunity to live in that type of peace and beauty for other people. We have farm projects and food to, farm to table. It's a very exciting, for me, this shift was so necessary because I think people are shifting their values too. So
exactly.
the idea of
Exactly.
living in community is going to be fun. Yeah.
And I like the reason you said the word shift, because I think sometimes, especially women, the theme is women are change makers. We get too comfortable and shifting our mindset to possibilities.
hmm
Sometimes we get stuck. Sometimes, yes, we raise kids and all of that, but it's a matter of let's think big. Let's give ourselves the opportunities because we are change makers. So, what are a couple nuggets would you like to share I mean, men as well, but women in terms of, because I mean, you educate a woman, you change your generation, right?
It's
So
true.
exactly, how can we as leaders in our families? I mean, yes, we have the men we love and all of that stuff, but I mean, in terms of nurturing and shifting, how can we start shifting a generation to think big?
I'm on a kick where I'm asking people to imagine,
Oh, I
like
love that word.
yeah, I think that a lot of one of the special parts about me, I always say that this is like my superpower and my gift, is that I have the gift of imagination. And because I have the gift of imagination, I can create scenarios and ideas in my head and make those reality,
Mm,
right? Being able to think that there is a different way to live, that this might look different, this might be able to feel different to me, and then start creating the process to be able to really materialize that. And a lot of that, I think, comes with being able to understand that you can envision your best life in your head and be brave enough to make the choices and decisions that it takes to have that. And sometimes that's sacrifice, right?
Yeah.
Like, and you got to be willing to make certain sacrifices in
For
order to
longer
really.
term gain, for longer term gain.
And it's not like, I think it's not like sacrifices maybe that other people are talking about, like saving money and not going out to eat and those kind of things. That's not really like, I have been very purposeful in how I have gone about building my businesses. I've given up opportunities because I knew that those opportunities would tie me to something where I might not be as free as I am now. Though there are certain sacrifices, I may have not grown as fast as another business because I have a political agenda, and that political agenda sometimes doesn't meet the needs of whatever the other person's agenda is. And so I don't take that opportunity because it would bind me.
Mhm.
There are sacrifices that you make as a human being along the way in order to really create the kind of life that you want to live. So, when I think about the Sahara, and I'm home now and I've been gone now for 3.5 months, almost 4 months, in the Sahara, no, you're not going to find snacks. You're not like driving down the street. There's no wine shop to go to, like the kind of conveniences. But I can't even say I miss those things, like what I sacrificed in order to get the kind of peace, the kind of day-to-day living, the support that you can have in your daily life in Africa is harder to have in the United States because of the way our society is structured. So
Mhm.
I'm willing to make certain sacrifices in order to really live. And I'm very thoughtful about what I really want. And I know what I want. And I think a lot of times as women, we know what we don't like. We know what we don't want. Right.
Right.
But we really have to get a lot stronger with what we do want, how we do want it to look, and then start making the changes in ourselves that we have to make in our value systems in order to have that life.
I think that's powerful. That's powerful. That's powerful. I think as women, especially as we move into the new stage or new phase or new world, I think it's taking care of ourselves is very important. Taking care of, like you're saying, imagine. I love the word imagine. Even before we start thinking big, we have to start imagine. And I think that's a powerful way, because what happened, I think, is we become paralyzed.
Yes.
And I even go as further and say that we are conditioned to stay the way we are. You know,
Yeah, I think that women, it's by circumstance, not necessarily because we want to, but I think women typically in our communities take on the burden and the brunt of making sure that things keep moving. So, and so when you have that kind of responsibility, you are always thinking about the stability and safety and sometimes the things that are the antithesis to freedom and to really moving the way that you want. So it's figuring out, like, I'm a mother, right? And
hmm
I move around the world. I've been traveling every single month for years now out of the country. And I have an amazing support system in my parents. And I know everyone doesn't have that, but people have other supports, but people get very caught up, especially women, around what that means about you as a mom, what that means about you. I want my daughter to see me live. I
yes.
want her to see me do I center myself in my life. And as much as I love my child and I literally have built a whole, you know, world for her, I make sure that I don't get lost in that. And I make the choices and decisions so that I don't lose who I am. And for a lot of women, they think that womanhood is about sacrificing. You're no longer important. You center everybody else, right? And I think that that is the wrong way to go about looking at anything in life. You always have to center yourself. People call it selfish, and I'm like, I'm self-oriented.
I
And
love that.
when you're self-oriented, but I'm community minded, and so I'm always going to be thinking about the bigger picture, the bigger whole. But I make sure that I center myself in the middle of that conversation. And I think that that's a difficult for women. I think that we are not trained to center ourselves. We're not taught that it's okay to make choices that benefit us as an individual. And I do that not at the expense of my child or the expense of the people around me or the expense of the community, but to the benefit of it. And I think that I've been able to create a life for my kid that's so expansive.
Mhm.
And I've been able to do that because I made a life for me that was expansive, you
Mhm.
know, and it looks different. And I'm
Yeah.
okay with that. And look, it's okay for things to look different than what people expect of you, you
Mhm.
know.
Mhm. I mean, it's interesting that you say that, and I guess maybe it's interesting that maybe my spirit attracts your spirit. You may not even know that, but I'm really on a mission, excuse me, to really empower individuals to become life changers. And as a life changer, is that we can make a difference one on ourselves and in our community, excuse me, but also make a difference in the world. And
Yeah.
sometimes it means by stepping out and doing, excuse me, and being bold and going where
Hmm.
no one has ever gone before,
Hmm.
you know?
Yeah, but really the idea of self-care, healing, a lot of getting to your best self
Yes, yes,
requires a lot of soul searching and healing. And
yes.
I really, for the past, I think 3 or 4 years, put a lot of energy. I've worked with spiritual teachers. I've been, cleansing in Bali. I've been, you know, throwing things to the desert and doing a lot of the things that I needed to do to reconcile, who I am, what has happened, what has, been wonderful about my life, what has been painful about my life, how I've caused pain. And so that spiritual reckoning really helps you push forward to that space to where you can really start, I think, being a change maker, where people start to
Yes,
look to you because you have to change you first. It's not
yes,
outside of you,
yes.
right? And then once you do that spiritual work, I think the next thing that I think is super important is the intellectual development, and that's one I think that we don't always think is as important, but the intellectual development helps you make understand the world more expansively. So when
Mhm,
you understand the world more expansively, then you are able to make different choices and decisions based on this new content and this new information that you know, and then physically expanding, making sure that your territory is large. Every time I travel, I change. If you meet me yesterday and I've made a trip a week before, or a week later, you don't know me anymore because something has like seriously shifted inside of me. The core of who I am is always, I think, who I've been, and I think that I'm a loving, caring human being,
mhm.
but my mind has shifted. I've
Yeah,
made a different decision. I've thought something different. I allow myself to change my mind, you
mm,
know and I think that that's a big part of being a change maker, that you flow through change. Change
yeah,
comes and you change with it, and
yes,
it's okay. Yeah.
yes, yes, yeah. So I'm not sure if you're aware of it. One of the things I've pivoted my business. So I started in the industry as an influencer, really helping individuals write and share their stories. And I realized that,
Remember that. Yes.
yes, yes. And so one of the things I have pivoted and enhanced it in terms of I've divided the business into two. I have the Life Changes Center. So it's a center where I hire clinicians who really help individuals heal and restore. And then as we look at the University of Life Changers, it's a place where we really help individuals understand the transformation that has happened from this story and really help them now want to create a message, to write this story and develop a platform. But it's interesting that you said that you did take some time to really zone in into yourself. And in this season, I really want to really empower individuals to connect with us in terms of the healing and the restoration, because I think that
Hmm.
is because what happens is that there are a lot of shackles that keep
Hmm.
us hostage.
Oh,
It
you
keeps us
think, yeah,
hostage.
you think things are true that actually aren't really true. And you've developed these ideas because you've had experiences.
Yes.
From, a lot of, for me, I think I remember very specifically, the romantic relationship aspect of life, right? And I'd had a difficult situation with when I became pregnant and being left, and that really shifted, kind of just emotionally destroyed me in a lot of ways. And I had to rebuild from that. And in that rebuilding, I had experiences over the course of a decade dating, and it was new for me because I had been married very young. I had always been loved. I come from a family that where I was loved. And so it was very devastating to me. And then going through the dating process, because I had been married really young and then divorced around 30, my late 20s, I hadn't had those negative experiences with men, right? Like, so I hadn't had the dating experiences my girlfriends had in their 20s. And
Mm.
during that course of the decade, I realized in the past few years, I built up these ideas in my head about what it was, what men were, what the experiences I was having were, what it meant about me, what it meant about them. And when I started traveling to the continent, I had taken those same ideas with me. And then I started to have these very different experiences combined with healing and nurturing myself. And then I started to say, oh, wait a minute. What I've been thinking is true is actually very regional, or actually,
Mm.
and allowing myself to have a new idea, to have a new way that I looked at situations and relationships. And it shifted everything. I allowed myself to think something different. And since then it's shifted all of my relationships. And it's amazing how when we're going and moving along and not doing this work and this cleansing, one of the things about Bali that I love and I tell people is, Balinesians, they've had the same history as all of us, right? Like colonialism, and
Right.
but they recovered themselves in a very beautiful way. And I think it's because within their culture, they're constantly cleansing,
Yes.
constantly going to the healing springs, constantly. It's not there's not a lot of talk about the trauma, right? There's not a lot of like, um, the way that their spirituality works is really just you're always renewed. And so you're always able to kind of approach life every day in a new way, right? And training in that space spiritually really allowed me to constantly be new.
Yes.
And that, to be able to
I think we lost a little
so
bit.
it's
Okay,
been
go ahead.
a
Hmm.
journey for
Yeah.
me. Yeah, like it's that has really taught me so much about changing your mind. And once you change your mind and you're expansive and you're traveling and you're having new experiences, you will constantly grow because you won't have a chance not to, you know.
I had the opportunity actually to go to Bali too last year, and I
Yeah,
actually did the travel by myself. And I came back as a changed woman. And
yeah.
the
Bali
word,
changes you. Yeah,
yes, and even, I mean, just the travel too, all the way around the world. And
yeah,
I came back with the word limitless.
yeah,
Limitless. I mean, it was a life-changing experience. It was
yeah.
really life-changing experience. This is great. I want you to I'm gonna how can individuals connect with you?
So on Instagram, I have a personal Instagram, T Barnes Global Lifestyle.
Hmm.
And that's probably the best way, and you'll be able to find all my businesses from there.
Okay.
I do the two businesses are tbarnesglobaltravel.com and tbarnesbeauty.com. So those are the websites. We have lots of Instagrams. There's lots of businesses going on over here. There are lots of things, lots of pieces moving. Free Black Woman magazine launches next month.
Nice.
So you can also find me there at freeblackwomanmagazine.com. And yeah, there's a lot of moving parts, but once you kind
I
of get
love it.
plugged in to one part, but that global T Barnes global lifestyle on Instagram is great because it's kind of the accumulation of all my projects and mind wanderings and crazy things that I'm thinking about and writing at the moment.
You are indeed a life changer. You are indeed a world changer as well. Can you leave our audience with three words that could help them start shifting and imagining
Mm,
possibilities?
embrace the change. I
Mm.
mean, just embrace it. Like this is such a blessing this time period. And it's really hard because so many people have lost people, and I'm very sympathetic to that and blessed that that has not been my experience yet. We're still kind of going through this, right?
Mhm.
But when you embrace that things are shifting and you move with that shift, it allows you to be new, to be renewed, to see what this next phase can offer you.
Mhm.
And I'm finding that, I mean, in the middle of Corona, I am I'm moving to Morocco. I'm living in a palace. I'm creating a commune with beautiful people coming to the table to live in community in the Sahara Desert. Like every opportunity, and that this is really something that has come out of all of this madness,
Yeah.
the uprisings. I'm always think that you have to find what this new space means. And I think this is an opportunity for people to be more human, more thoughtful about how we live together. Um, COVID really makes you have to be community minded for all of us to survive,
Mhm.
right? Everyone isn't there, but that is what this shift is doing. And when you flow, things come, things go. I flow with the shift. People come, people go. So yeah, embrace the change, I think is the best advice I could give.
This is powerful. Thank you for the opportunity.
Thank
Thank
you.
you for even being in your
Thank
presence.
you, Dr. Jackie. I love your work. I admire it. I watch you from afar. I love my Caribbean people and your little accents. It's so cute. I'm like, look at her, 8:30 in the morning on these lives.
But you know what? The most important thing is about changing lives and really empowering individuals to move to the next best version of themselves. you know
Absolutely.
and once they're able to move from those ghosts and those shackles, they'll be able to see they will be able to imagine, they will be able to shift their mindset, and they will be able to live a limitless life. It's
Yes.
not going to be easy, we know it's not going to be easy,
Mm-mm.
but we're able
Mm-mm.
to push through, we're able to push through. So I'd like to thank my audience for joining us. I am Dr. Jackie Evans Phillips, a transformational life and spiritual coach. If you are looking to shift and imagine and connect with me on my website, www.drjackiephillips.com. Thank you so much. It's a
Thank
pleasure joining
you.
with you. We will be live on Wednesday morning with another woman, another change maker. So join us at 8:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Thank you and have a great day. Take care.